Hello, I was expecting you. I've already taken care of the imaging array, but you should still look into securing the primary coolant flow. With some luck, you may be able to light the area before these things even show up.
Thanks for tuning in for the second part of our interview with Serena Valdivia and award-winning photographer Alice Wake. Now, Alice, we were talking about your husband, Alan Wake. Is that a sore subject for you?
Well, a little bit. Of course it is. The way I see it, we had our good times and our bad times, and on the whole, we had a lot of good times. He really made me happy. I don't mind being reminded of him.
So you're over him?
I don't know if I'll ever be that, entirely. I still think about him every day, literally. I still find myself hoping for... Well, sometimes I think I see him just standing somewhere, watching me. I think most people who lose someone they love experience things like that. But on the whole, I'm doing all right. 2 years is a long time to adjust, and I'm not really the type to wallow in the negative.
Well, I know there are a lot of stories about Alan. He seemed to have something of a wild streak.
That's not really what our show is about, though. Look, all that stuff really gets blown out of proportion. He had his problems, but it's really frustrating for me because people like to talk. They love to tell these crazy stories, and they never really knew him at all.
Well, the character he created, Alex Casey, is a household name. The books still continue to sell. There's been talk of a TV series, a movie, a video game. Must be nice to know that his work is still being appreciated by so many readers.
Yes, of course, but I don't really deal with the business side. I leave that to Alan's agent.
That would be Barry Wheeler. Actually, I just interviewed him. He's currently in the music business.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also Alan's best friend. Do you two keep in touch?
We talk regularly. Like I said, he handles the business side. I think we should talk about her film.
Yes, of course, you're right. I'm Eddie Rodman, talking to Alice Wake and Serena Valdivia, and we'll be right back.
Very good. I believe we're ready to look into the sky.
Right there, Doctor.
The film noir poster reminded me of Alex Casey, the detective's cool exterior never cracking even with the gun pointed in his face. In the back room, all the lights had been turned off, except for the lone spotlight which illuminated the bright red fire extinguisher on the wall. This act of creation is exhilarating and frightening. Subtext and symbols loom eager to take effect. Causality and consequence become domino chains that stretch into infinity. The more fundamental the change, the more unpredictable the variables become. Reality is too complex to control completely. Ordinary questions become meaningless. Who created who? What is really real? Everything is as real as everything else. You learn to let go of the things you can't control and go with the flow, or go insane. The man before Dr. Meadows was handsome and slick. He moved with lazy confidence and didn't bother to pretend that he wasn't staring at her. She didn't mind, at first. Then the man flicked open the knife and shoved her out of the control room so she wouldn't hear the signal, whatever it was. Outside, she pulled her lab coat closed and thought about running. She didn't. She didn't think she'd get very far. Not from him. She never was entirely sure why he spared her.
Come on in.
This is what you look like. Does that bother you? I bet it does. I'm not just wearing your face, you know. It goes a lot deeper than that. There's a lot of you and me. All the best parts. At first, I was just an idea. But they kept telling all those stories about you. You already had that rep. And then you disappeared mysteriously. And then, the stories about bad, crazy Alan Wake came true. And here I am. That's the best part, isn't it? When that happens, you can always count on Cauldron Lake. I'm just as real as you are. And I'm the improved version. No fears, no doubt, no weaknesses, no self-deception here. I don't let anything drag me down. I know you like I know myself. I know it bothers you that I'm like this, that I use your name, crawl my way into your life. But I only do it because I'm better at being you than you ever were.
Stop blatantly violating the laws of physics in my observatory. That's just rude. Are you all right?
I'll live.
I'm glad. I'll send the lift down to you. I remember our previous encounters very clearly now, but technically, if this really is a loop in time, we've never met before. I don't know why our awareness persists, but it's bloody fascinating.
Doctor?
You know, I know physicists who would give 15 years of their lives for a chance to experience something like this.
I'd imagine that being stalked by horrible axe murderers would curb their enthusiasm a little.
Clearly you've never met hardcore physicists.
I'm glad you're in such good spirits, but...
Signal! Yes, it's completed.
Finally. If all goes well, this should be the last time we go through the loop.
You know, I just realized that I don't have any memory of what happens after you leave. What does that mean?
I don't think it means anything. If everything goes well, you just keep going. I don't show up here like this again, no more bad guys. Things go back to normal.
Let's hope you're right. I'd love the opportunity to look into this in more detail.
Looks like you've accepted the situation.
I'm a pragmatist. If this is a delusion, at least my first psychotic episode is anything but boring. Really, Mr. Wake, at the end of the day, I'm a scientist. I love mysteries. I love not knowing. Whatever else this might be, it's absolutely fascinating. I wonder how far this reaches. Is everybody in the world experiencing this?
Who knows? I think reality's probably pretty fragile right now. Doctor, I can see you're very enthusiastic about this. I'd appreciate a bit of discretion.
Are you suggesting that we should suppress this?
No. You can do what you like, but I want you to leave me out of it.
But surely, with the things you know, the things you've experienced, you can replicate any of these results. We could—
Let me be blunt. If you drag me into this, I'll deny everything. I'll lie like my life depended on it. And writers are damn good liars. Word of advice. This is things man was not meant to know territory. You get into this, chances are you'll open up a door into a world of hurt. Believe me, I know.
I see.
In a strange way, he feels at ease. He is armed with his own words, and when the time comes, they will be enough or they will not. For now, he's content to let the currents take him toward the final confrontation. Once more, we return to the drive-in. If he's aware of the absurdity of arming oneself with a few sentences and standing against a power that can pierce time itself, he doesn't show it. The man has his share of weaknesses, perhaps more, but cowardice is not among them.
Oh, you got yourself a little plan, do you?
never getting out of this, Wake. Never! Don't worry. I'll take care of your wife and your life. I don't know what you think you're doing, but I'll send you right back to the beginning.
When the dark man's eyes suddenly locked into Serena's, she flushed hot. They ignited a black fire in her. He was talking. He wanted the power turned off. He said something about the projector booth. She hooked a finger under his belt buckle. He grabbed a hold of her throat and twisted until it hurt. Somewhere deep inside, a part of her screamed in paralyzed horror, but the moan that escaped from her throat had no panic in it. "Pay attention," he said. "Business first." His eyes glittered shamelessly. Hers did too.
What? You think whatever it is you're gonna do is gonna make a difference? This'll end up just like before!
There's more to fighting the Taken than just burning away the darkness that protects them. When I'm fighting for my life, I find myself slipping into a state of intense concentration that makes the beam of my flashlight seem more powerful and focused. I used to think it was just my imagination, something brought on by the adrenaline and fear of death. But now I'm not so sure. I've been touched by powers that I can't begin to truly comprehend. And they've left a mark. I'm starting to think this might be a part of it. I've been around for a while now, you know? Well, you've been indisposed, stuck in the darkness. I've been busy. I operate in the shadows, not always literally, you understand? I'm a little more resilient than those I've taken, but I do my best work in the dark. And there's so much darkness out there. It goes deep. And the things that live in it are fast, big bastards. They don't mind getting a little bit of elbow room. All that chaos and madness, it doesn't really do that much down there. It's like pouring a glass of water into the ocean, right? But up here, yeah, you can really make an impact. All they need is someone to bring them all the way through. But first, I had to take care of you. You party pooper. You're stuck in an eternal cycle now. The sun's never coming up for you. Everything else? Do my thing. Get a bit of quality time with Alice. That's a little something for me. And I deserve it. I held the film canister in my hands. I saw her name written across it in big letters, followed by the title. It was a time capsule, moments snatched from times gone by, from a past that I hoped could also be our future. It was my salvation, our chance to be together. A tin can with a bit of magic in it that she didn't even know about. Something I could put to good use. There were only moments left before I had to face him.
Oh, hey.
I'm hoping I can put an end to this now.
You'd better. I really don't want that to happen to me again. It's like somebody vomited in my brain, like a sleazy movie that keeps looping in my head.
I'll stop this, I swear.
You know the part that's really screwed up? If you mess it up, it'll just keep happening forever, right? I don't think I can deal with that.
Don't think about that.
I don't think of anything but.
Hey, afterwards, when all this is done, look me up. This thing, I can probably help you deal with it.
I don't know. It's almost like I'm not even in the same world anymore. Everything's just weird now.
Yeah, I know. A lot of that'll pass with time. But being touched by the darkness, it's rough on you. It's a lot to process. And I just don't want you to get completely screwed up by this.
Might be a little late for that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, there's degrees. At least you're not at a point where you go around picking fights with people over not changing their light bulbs often enough.
What?
Never mind. All I'm saying is, you're not alone with this. And anyway, you're friends with Alice, so, you know, any friend of hers.
Thank you.
Hello, folks, and welcome to the third part of our pre-recorded interview with Serena Valdivia and renowned photographer Alice Wake. So, tell me about the film.
It's called Sunrise, and it really wasn't something I ever thought of as an actual film. It was just footage, things I saw and happened to shoot. It's not a medium I'm very much at home with.
You shouldn't put yourself down. You've got a great eye.
Maybe, but experience is another thing.
Because you're primarily a still photographer.
Yes, exactly. So I'm really used to thinking of the world in terms of snapshots. I frame something and try to pick the right moment, and then reveal that moment to people. Moving images are a different story. I'm still learning a lot about it, to be honest.
So, this is a new thing for you?
Or maybe I'm just a slow learner. But showing it like this is definitely a new step for me. It's a little weird taking something this intimate and showing it to everybody. Not that the material itself is somehow shocking. It's just that those were private moments.
But that's why it works, because it feels genuine. It's not so much a story as it is a sort of an echo, showing us how you saw your husband at the time. It's not really about the sunrise itself or Alan watching it. It's about you two together.
I suppose. It's funny, looking at it now, especially now that it's been edited like that. It takes on a life of its own, almost. It's a kind of a fantasy.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, you're right. I'm glad you talked me into it.
The clothes I wear now I shaped from dreams and memories. It's an old outfit, originally from the 90s. The last time I wore it was when I was still writing and Alice and I took a vacation in the desert before our troubles began. The night before, we'd been at a party, and I had dressed to the nines. On that lazy day, I put on these old clothes, worn and comfortable. Alice made a joke about grunge. I felt a little embarrassed, but I stuck with them. We were very happy. I'm sheathed in good memories to remind myself of what is at stake.
Again, the champion of light enters the final trap. The new reality is almost here. All he needs to do is change the details of the scene, push it past the breaking point, and the rest will snap into place.
Oh, come on, buddy. Why don't you... What? What is this? No! No! You can't do this! All I did was take the things you always wanted and never had the balls to go for! It's my turn now! It's my life! It's my life!
Alan? Is it really you?
It's really me.
How? I love you.
I love you.
A woman, a man, two lovers, held apart for far too long, enveloped in the light of a glorious dawn. They both feel it. He's home at last. Are these actual events, or merely a dream? A memory, or a glimpse of what is to come? One thing is certain. This scene takes place in another time and another place, far, far away from Night Springs.
You know it feels nice watching the sun come up, and I've realized I can never return. Oh baby, it feels good watching the sun come up. I can attack the day with the will to burn, and the sky is a picture of violence, blood red and steely blue. It has beauty that can never be silenced. Oh yeah, it reminds me of you. And if you're broken down, lying face on the ground, it's too late. For I've seen it all as the shadows fall when the dawn breaks. I could never be beyond repair. I could never be beyond repair. Watching the sun